Fossilized footprints, or any kind of mark from a leftover animal, has its own classification called ichnotaxonomy. We're going to talk about that and more fun fossilized prints facts while I sketch this little footprint. So let's just turn the page and get started. Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is 5:30 in the morning on a Tuesday morning. Good morning, Rick. Good morning, Dad, Mom in the chat. Good morning. We are live 5:30 on Tuesday mornings. At 5:30 in the morning on a Tuesday morning, I like to do a little thing where I pull a toy from the toy box, a random object from the Random Object Randomogrifier, if you will, and I like to draw it, and I like to talk about it. And today's random object from the Random Object Randomogrifier is a fossilized footprint. Now, we actually do this every day at 5:30 in the morning, so you may want to set your notification bell so you don't miss any of that. But again, today's toy is a fossilized footprint. This is part of Safari's fossil set. It came with the ammonite fossil, and it came with a trilobite, and the fish and the frog. But these are the parts known for ichnotaxonomy. Ichnotaxonomy, as I alluded to a moment ago, is specifically the classification system set up to discuss marks left behind by animals, not the animal themselves, but the marks left behind by the animals. And the reason they have that is because they want to see what they can learn from the mark, and then they want to extrapolate that data and apply it to other animals. And the interesting thing about it is that they have footprints and marks from animals that have never been identified. Dinosaurs whose fossils have never been found, for instance. The only way they know the animal ever even existed was because they found footprints of it, or they found some kind of body mark of it left in the soil behind. And so they had to come up with their own way to study and name it. I'm not sure what the ichno stands for, because ichthyology is the study of fish. So I'm not sure how ichnotaxonomy became associated with studying the marks left behind by animals. But they can learn a lot. They can learn a lot from the fossils, from the marks left behind by the animals, especially footprints, because footprints tell them things like the length of stride, the gait, the speed that the animal might have been traveling, what the animal might have been doing when he left the print. For instance, if it's a small they're long, there's a long ways between them, and they land in line with each other, then they believe that they can safely assume that the animal was running when he left the footprint. And the best example of that is the Paluxy River in Texas, where they have a herd of sauropods being followed by a theropod. Theropods are the two-legged, bird-footed dinosaurs. The two-legged dinosaurs that have the three toes, the Tyrannosaurus Rex, Velociraptor, the scary ones in the movie. Those are the theropods. Sauropods are the big elephant-footed, long-necked dinosaurs. So there's a herd of sauropods. There's footprints of a herd of sauropods rapidly moving away from, not necessarily running, but rapidly moving away from a theropod who is following them exactly for what seems like miles. What's that?
I'm sorry, what river did you say?
Paluxy. That's Dinosaur Valley. That's up there just west of Fort Worth. That's the one the kids go to all the time that they love so much that they want to take you to see.
Yeah. I just had never heard the name of the river.
I had not either. I had not heard the name of the river either. Yeah, the kids go there with the scouts all the time, at least once a year, and then occasionally they just go with friends. So they tell me about it all the time. It's one of their favorite places. It has problems though because of erosion. Once the footprint is exposed, millions of years these things have been unprotected under silt and ash, underwater, and now the river starts to erode, starts to change directions or dry up. And erosion starts exposing these footprints, and the same erosion that's exposing the footprints is the same erosion that's causing the footprints to go away. So they've been known to flood specific areas in order to preserve the footprint so they could continue to study them. Pamela says she's been listening, but she's been scrolling. I'm okay with that, Pamela. I'm guilty of that too. I think a lot of us have the attention span of a squirrel these days because of all of the shiny things on our phone. One of the things I lament during the mornings after the show, my mother and I go through all the notes, make sure we have everything written down and preserved so that we can, make sure we provide you guys an entertaining venue. And one of the things that happens is that's when I take the pictures and post them to Instagram and stuff. And I have to subscribe to something like Buffer so that I don't open Instagram. Because if I open Instagram, the minute I open Instagram, I'm lost in the pretty things. Just the second I open Instagram, I'm inundated by frogs and snails and scantily clad women and all of the wondrous things that I'm designed to be attracted to. I mean, I'm not actually attracted to frogs and snails. Maybe a little. If he's got a bow on his head or something. But yeah, I think we all have the attention span of a squirrel these days because of the instant gratification of the internet. It takes a highly unlikely series of events to cause a footprint or a body mark to fossilized eye did not trace the outline to cause a footprint or a body mark to fossilize. First, it has to be done in the right kind of mud. Silt or ash, something that will bake in the sun, bake hard in the sun. Second, it has to bake hard in the sun. You can't just any old footprint in the mud won't do it, because once you add the next layer, it could just as likely wash away. So first it has to be in the right kind of material to leave an imprint and bake in the sun once it dries. And then you have to fill it with silt, and you have to do it slowly so that it doesn't wash away. So it doesn't wash away your footprint, your mark. And then that has to bake, and then it has to go under pressure, so that the mineral deposits replace what was there organically to begin with. Hi. Hey, Soham Solanki. Good morning. Welcome to the madness. Throw my water brush back up here. So I mean, there's a whole series of events that have to happen to make a fossil, to make any fossil for that matter, and the whole series of events that has to come into play to make it happen, make it unlikely to find them. Because first off, if it's mud, if it's by the riverside and it's mud, right off the bat, you run the risk of it flooding and washing away before any significant impressions can be made. So it's amazing that there are any of these things around. But we've been studying the marks left behind of the animals since before we knew that there were different kinds of animals leaving the marks. And what I mean by that is we've been studying dinosaurs, specifically dinosaur footprints, before we knew there were dinosaurs. In Germany in 1834, for instance, they had a Carathenium, I think was the name of it. You'll have to forgive me. I'm working off memory on that one. I didn't write it down. But they thought it was a giant bird. They had no idea what kind of animal it was. They thought it was a giant bird, and they're not wrong. They just didn't realize that it was something that was extinct. They actually thought they were dealing with a live animal, and they were trying to find it. Had no idea. The idea of extinction at the time was an affront. The idea that any part of creation could go away was an affront to their sensibilities. And they had been arguing that since the Renaissance. This is creation. Creation doesn't go away. There's no such thing as extinction. But then they start noticing things like dodos going extinct. They start noticing things like animals that they had record of, Tasmanian tigers. They start noticing things actually going extinct, and they say, well, now wait a minute, maybe these are animals that are no longer with us also. How dare you, sir? And they start pounding the tables. How dare you? You've stolen my childhood. Sorry. This is my favorite part of the process. If I've never told you before, I should probably make you aware that this is, without a doubt, my favorite part of the process. This is the part of the process that gives the whole thing shape. until this, it's just lines on a page that don't necessarily mean anything.
Pamela says, "Oh my goodness, yes. It's like my mind gets swept away by the activity of people I've never met and never will. But I must look, or they'll get away, and I'll never get to know what they did yesterday."
Exactly. That's exactly right, Pamela. There are people whose entire lives I'm tracing on the internet, and I've never met these people. I'm never going to meet these people. And when I talk about these people, I talk about them like we're old friends. And that's not including you guys. You know, there's a good chance I will eventually meet you guys. As a matter of fact, I've met you. There's a really good chance I'm going to meet you, some of you guys. And at least we interact. But there's a whole group of people out there who I follow that when I think of them, I think of my friends in a box. And I don't mean that lightly. I've been following their whole lives. I've watched them grow up. I know their kids' names. I know their whole lives. It's like celebrities that you watch on television. You know, I know so much about them that it feels like we're friends. And I have to know what's happened. I have to know. I have to check in on them and make sure they're okay. And they don't know me. Not because they don't want to, but because we're tens of thousands of miles away from each other and only vaguely aware of each other through the interwebs. So yeah, I feel that.
Rick says it'll be a pleasure to meet one day.
I think we should make a point to do it in the next couple of months. I need to get up there and see my grandbabies before they forget who I am. I think we should plan it out. I think we should meet at the winery.
That's what Rick said, maybe the winery.
That sounds like a good plan. We could probably get Joe to meet us at the winery. We could have us a party. We could have us a whole internet party. We could all of us bring something to art on. Set up a still life of the wine bottles. I think that would be a good time. All right. How are we doing on time? Ooh, it's 10 till. Let me dry this real quick. Then we can add some color. All right. Now, there's controversy at the Paluxy River at Dinosaur Valley because there's a footprint there that resembles a human footprint. And there's a group of people saying that that's proof that dinosaurs are not as old as they think it is. That dinosaurs and humans were contemporary of each other. Except there's claw marks in the toes of the human footprint. But they didn't discover that for a while. What?
Paint along's party scheduled for July 24th, but we could definitely do our own thing on another day. Let's get a date set.
What's on July?
Be there this weekend. That's short notice.
There's a paint along party scheduled for July 24th. Why couldn't we do that?
But she said you can definitely do your own thing, and then she says that they're going to be this weekend, but that's short notice.
Yeah, I can't do it this weekend. I just took a weekend off, and I would have to take off. There's no, I'm not of the mindset of just driving up on a Saturday and driving home on a Sunday anymore. That doesn't happen in my life. Because
the dinosaurs lived at the same time.
Pamela believes that humans and dinosaurs lived at the same time. I'm not going to poo-poo that idea. What I'm going to say is that the footprint that they found in Dinosaur Valley has claws, and humans do not. I won't get into whether or not humans lived with dinosaurs. I know that if the humans did live with dinosaurs, it would completely upset what they think they know, but there's lots of things that would upset what they think they know if they stop to think about it. They pound the table. This is the hip bone of an underdeveloped giraffe. No, it's the shoulder bone of a rat. They're the same animal. No. I'm going to add a little vermilion to this. I want kind of a mottled effect. Mottled with a T. And I think I'm going to do the same thing with just a little bit of cobalt blue. Real thin layer of cobalt blue just to add in some shadows. To let you know that it is not a perfectly smooth surface. And to fully separate out that footprint from the rock behind it. Like that. That came together quickly. Now how are we doing? Good morning, Claudia. Let me try this real quick, because Claudia didn't get to see me dancing earlier. That's what we should really do. That's what we should really do, Pamela. What we really need to do is get together in the Netherlands. We could go see Claudia. How fun would that be? I mean, as exciting as Oklahoma is, imagine if we could go have a European meetup.
Claudia said, not this week, 40 degrees Celsius, too hot.
Celsius doesn't mean anything to us. We're Americans. You and your metric system.
Said she'd love to have you stay over there.
Oh my. I didn't think you guys knew that kind of weather. Oh my. Do. There's
your boy is down in the 50s.
What's that? Oh, my son. Yeah, where my baby boy is right now. It's getting down into the 50s at night. He's down there in the mountainous area. There's a wall in Bolivia of footprints, a vertical wall. So one of the largest collections they've ever found. And what's happened is the earthquake activity, the tectonic activity, has caused a plate of fossil bed to be pushed up vertically. And so when they were clearing the stone away for construction of a highway, construction of a road, they found some 12,000 prints, 465 different tracks, 465 different paths, with some 12,000 footprints. It's one of the biggest finds ever, but it was on a vertical wall. And that's in Bolivia. The largest footprint they ever found, what is today? Today's the 23rd. The largest footprint they found so far used to be in the Gobi Desert, which was three or 4 feet. But now the largest one that they have record of is in Australia. And let's see, what was it? It's 5.5 feet. 5.5 feet, about the size of an abuela, about the size of somebody's grandmother. 5.5 feet. If you can imagine an abuela laying on the ground, offering you tamales. What is today? The 23rd of June. And it's a sauropod, an unknown sauropod. They haven't identified which sauropod did it yet. That's in Australia. And instead of digging them up and filling them with plaster and trying to collect and capture them, now they're using drones and 3D scanning to recreate them. They can fly over with a drone and take imaging, and if it's underwater or under different sediments, they can use sonic imaging, and they can get in it an impression, a very good impression, and they can fire that back to a computer and map it out. And then if they really want to, they can 3D print it. So they don't have to dig them up and cut them out of the ground, which would cause them to erode faster. Let's see. Let's see. There is my version compared to the photograph. Let's see what it looks like from my perspective. There it is from my perspective. So that's what I did this morning. Looks like my own footprint. Rick says, that looks like my own footprint. When I'm running along the beach trying to keep my feet from burning, sure enough. Tomorrow, what do we have tomorrow? Look, I bought different kinds of eggs. They have a flat bottom and they snap harder, so I don't have to cover them with tape. Tomorrow, thanks, Rick. And Pamela says, yeah, in the Panhandle, it gets up to about 110 degrees. So let's see. What do we have tomorrow? The suspense. The suspense is what gets you. Oh. Oh. It's a capuchin monkey. We have this little capuchin monkey tomorrow. Capuchin monkeys share their name with a type of monk in Italy, and also is where we get the name for the cappuccino coffee. It didn't actually come from the capuchin monkey, but the capuchin part is related to cappuccino. We'll talk about that tomorrow and other fun capuchin monkey facts tomorrow morning at 5:30 a.m. Texas time while we sketch this little monkey. So you'll want to set your notification bell for that for sure. But guys, it's a dry heat. Pamela says, but it's a dry heat. Pamela, it's dry in an oven, but turkey's still baked. Yeah. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. I do look forward to this every day when I get to art with my besties. It is my favorite time of the day. It holds me accountable to my art practice and is often the only art I get to do in a day. So thank you so much, Pamela, Rick, Claudia, Saham. Thank you so much for joining us over on the vertical side. Really do appreciate it. Be sure and tune in tomorrow, same Artistic Biker time, same Artistic Biker channel. And then we dance. We dance until somebody says they see me dancing, because when they see me dancing, I will know that the lag has caught up with the stream and I won't get cut off mid-sentence. I will know that you have had a chance to click the clicky thingies. This way if you're on the horizontal, this way if you're on the vertical. Gives everybody a chance to say hello and goodbye to each other and ask any questions if they have any questions. But the most important thing is that I don't get cut off.